All right. Take your phones and put them on silent, because if it rings, you're going to stand and sing your school fight song. All right. Look at them grabbing those phones right now. I'm going to tell you today more than you ever wanted to know, honestly, about roofs, but we're not going to get too much into the details. And I've given you a flyer that you can take. All of this is yours, but the flyer that you have looks like this. And this is what we're going to talk about today. And I gave you our fall sale flyer as well. And this might not be something that you need personally right now, although if you do, get in touch with me, but probably you know someone that you can refer me to and link me to that needs some honest help. And that's what I guarantee, that we'll be honest with them. And if we can do a repair, we'll do that. If they need a new roof or one of the other services, we'll help them with that. All right, I've been in this since 2008. And like farmers, I've learned a thing or two, right? In that amount of time. And basically, I want to share with you today some things that you probably don't know. And like we said on the radio show last Saturday, if you know a couple of these things I'm about to say, Joe Garner will buy your breakfast. Right, Joe? I think she's withdrawing that offer, but anyway. All right, here's what you probably don't know. Raw materials, and we're talking about things like the granules, the asphalt, which guess where that comes from? Oil, right? It's a residue or derivative from the oil industry. Metals, raw materials prices are increasing 7 to 12% per quarter. That's astounding. That's never happened in our industry. And I'm terrible at math, but I'm sure some of you math whizzes are running those numbers right now. And you know that that can be a big problem. The second thing is experts who do excel in math say that on the trajectory we're on right now, that a price to replace a roof will be about 2 times what it is now. If you have a $5,000 roof now, $10,000 5 years from now, that's not too bad. But if you have a $20,000 roof right now, you're looking potentially at something around $40,000 if those experts are right. And what we learned from that is what John Maxwell said: whatever you are going to do it now. Do it now, do it now, do it now. Amen? Amen. So, you know a friend or neighbor or even a family member, and that's where you really need my help, because they won't listen to you, right? But I can tell them the truth they might not want to hear. But you know someone, or you will meet someone in the near future that will need some honest counsel. And even though they might spend a lot for a roof now, I don't think it would be anything compared to what they may be spending 3 to 5 years from now. And by the way, that's before nuclear war breaks out, right? So, I mean, that happens. I guess there'll be 10x on roofs if we have roofs. Now, something that people ask about a lot, and I'm going to tell you the straight up truth about this, is insurance claims. How many of you have had a person knock on your door? I can get you a free roof. Well, that free part, we're getting over into felonies and fraud there. All right. But when people tell you they can get a roof approved through insurance, in this climate, they're throwing it against the wall to see if it'll stick. That's about where we've ended up. I love adjusters. I love insurance agents. I'm starting to have questions about insurance companies. All right. And I get it. I completely understand. In many cases, they've been taken advantage of by unscrupulous roofers. Our company does this the right way. I spend half of my week telling people, you don't have anything on your roof. Can I get a witness on that, Lynn, with your clients? However, your roof is damaged from age, and this is what you need to do to repair it or replace it. But a lot of times I'll just tell them there's no legitimate storm claim from wind damage, like missing shingles or, quarter size hail that puts kind of a divot in the shingle. And that's where they may need help with the money. Our company has two vendors, Hearth and Service Finance, and depending on that person's credit rating, they may qualify for what are some fairly simple payments, or lower payments rather. And they can expand that over time and not come out of pocket. Of course, they'll pay more with financing, but that's how it works, right? We take credit cards as long as they're the kind that work, when we run them. You would be surprised what we deal with. And basically, we love to do replacement, obviously, but we do a lot of large and small roof repairs. Many people don't realize that we also do interior and exterior painting, a little bit of drywall repair, like if you have a leak on a ceiling and it's messed that up and it needs to be reworked, we can do that. We don't put up drywall like in a house that's being built or anything like that. And we work on exteriors. We can repaint an exterior. We can re-side it with hardboard, fiber cement siding or vinyl siding. Many people in Memphis have a problem with their chimneys. They're often covered with siding that is rotting. And guess what? What happens when it rots? It leaks right into the house. And they've got this. Here's how you know you have a roof leak. If you have a tea stain on your ceiling, you probably have a roof leak, unless you're throwing tea on the ceiling. Right? And that's a whole other story right there. When it's wet, like it's raining, it's active, it will be gray looking, but when it dries, there's a chemical in the drywall that gives it that tea stain look. But we can help with all of that. We do replacement windows. That's not the main thing we do, but we've helped several homeowners replace all the windows on their home. And you could just see that we do a wide range of things, including new gutter systems. I'm going to pass around these samples because I bet this is the closest many of you have ever been to a roofing product, unless you've been on a roof. So we'll just pass these around. Jim, would you help me and just spread these around? You've got two types of shingles here. Many people ask me, what is this dimensional or architectural shingle I hear about? Well, this is the one that Jim has in his left hand right now. Both of those are actually architectural. They come in a variety of colors, and this is so neat. This line right here that you're looking at, guess where it's made? Right here in Memphis. How many of you, how many of you know where the old Firestone plant used to be on Corrine Avenue in Fraser? About 2 blocks down from that abandoned plant is an Owens Corning shingle factory. I took a tour there. We've done training there a couple of times. You know who I saw there? And I'm not making this up. The Pink Panther. He really did. He came walking through and I tried to get his autograph, but his posse was too large. I just couldn't get to him. But we had a lot of fun that day. Now, this is something, number 5, that I specialize in. That's fast, friendly, expert roof advice. I can give that on the phone. I can visit someone's home. They can come to our showroom. We have a large showroom in Bartlett, right behind Popeye's Chicken on Stage Road. And our parking lot always smells so good. But in that showroom, there are life-size roof models with cutaways, so you can see the proper underlayments, the flashings, that type of thing. But wherever people want to meet on the phone or in person, I can most of the time put them in the right direction regarding replacement or repair, or sometimes it's referring them to someone else that can do a certain type of roof better than we can. For example, we don't do entire shopping centers, for example. Now, we might do a store in a shopping center, like one part of it, but is a limit to what we can do. We do apartments, but it has to have shingles on it, okay? We do a little bit of metal roofing, but if somebody needs their whole house done with a metal roof, I would send them to whoever owns the Tin Man now, or Excellent Roofing. They do a lot more metal roofing, or Arc Roofing. They specialize in commercial and metal roofs. So probably already I've exhausted your interest in roofing and what you would like to know about it. But if you have a question or two, I would be very happy to try to answer those. Lynn?
Talk to us a little bit about unscrupulous roofers. I know there's roofers doing jail time, but one thing I've heard is that a roofer that wants a job will create the problem.
Yeah.
Will actually then, well, you can tell us.
Yeah.
Some ways to look for a bad roofer.
Yeah, it is well known by people in roofing, and especially by insurance adjusters and people who inspect roofs, that there's better than a 50-50 chance when a roof is damaged that it's mechanical damage. That means someone created it, not the wind, not hail, not a tree. It's where someone has torn a shingle off, or I don't know how they would fake the hail, a ball peen hammer. How about that? You know, they probably like that. But, you know, insurance adjusters are trained to know what real damage is. Like tellers in a bank, you know, they can spot a counterfeit because they deal with the real thing, right? And they can tell this isn't right. And that's, an adjuster can do the same thing. So that does happen. It's sad. I've been to inspections where we told the homeowner, has anybody else been on your roof? Yes. Well, it looks like someone has damaged your roof. So you have to be careful who gets on a roof and what they do while they're there. This is not every roofer, but it's enough that it's a problem. Troy?
Yeah, it was my great pleasure to invite Ed out on my commercial building.
Mm-hmm.
And what made the difference, even my office manager told me, and there's no way you're gonna go out there. He's been there like 8 to 10 years. And I said, well, I've seen those missing.
Yeah.
Brought Ed out there and his expertise. And we ended up getting a new roof on that building. But let me tell you something that was very impressive too. I had a chance to spend time with him at his own shop. And what admired me most is he took about an hour to explain the various textures, the warranties that these roof shingles had, and it was a real treat. I didn't feel like I was wasting my time or that I was bored with what he was saying. It was so interesting, and he was giving me some options, and I really appreciated that as a consumer. And I must commend you. It was wonderfully done. He had people younger than Ed and myself up on that roof. Had a pretty good slope. And I was really impressed. They were walking around. I said, man, this is pretty nice out there. So, but anyway, I wanted to say thank you very much. It was great having your company.
Thank you.
Do my roof.
I just wanted you to talk about the new normal for how insurance companies deal with roofs. And I do want to say that Allstate's very good, but can we talk about the new normal?
The new normal, let me put it like this. If you watch sports and you see some prominent insurance companies, and there's about 5 of them, their new normal right now is no. That's their default answer. Almost about any roof. Sometimes if you work through a process with a desk adjuster, you can turn those around. But you often will not get help the first time you have an adjuster come out. And the adjusters are extremely frustrated about this, but they're stuck. So we often know that. And listen, if anybody promises you or a friend or neighbor or family member, I guarantee we can get your roof approved. You know, they either started this industry last week or they're lying. That's all I can say. It's just not like that anymore. 10 years ago, it was closer to that. Now, no. So what often happens if people have legitimate damage and a claim is settled is often insurance will pay for some of or a good bit of the roof. Like, and let's just keep it simple. I call that half and half. Insurance pays half of it. If you want we can do half a roof, by the way, but if you want the whole roof done, then they pay half and you pay half. Somebody can always get a new roof by doing OOP. OOP is out of pocket, whether it's a credit card or, you know, just writing a check. And then as I mentioned, that you can set up easy payment plans. I know a mortgage lady who might be able to set you up on a cash out refi. Okay, let's see, Troy, Lynn, and then Janelle.
Oh, okay. You know, first I already asked one question.
I wanted you to talk about how soon should we replace the roof? How do you know before you get?
That is a great question, Janelle. I'll pay you later. No, that's totally organic question right there. That is great. When, like on these books that I passed around, they used to say 30-year. Now they say limited lifetime, which is indefinable, right? On how long will that last? But the 3-tab shingle, the flat one we all grew up with, is supposed to be a 25-year shingle. And the architecturals are supposed to be 30 years. That's in a 4-season environment like Kentucky or Virginia, where the summer is, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. It's not as hot as it is in Memphis. And you have 4 distinct seasons. Now, Memphis only has 2 seasons, really hot and really cold, right? I mean, it can be like, it's the fall and bam, it's the winter, you know, and the same on the heat. It gets hot here starting in about April. It's about a 7-month summer with intense heat. You know what that does to a shingle? Wears it out. It does what we call burn it up. So now a 25-year shingle in Memphis is not uncommon to get on them, especially if they're not adequately ventilated. 18 years, that 3-tab is shot. I mean, it's just toast and it's brittle. And then the architectural, instead of being 30 years in Memphis, is pretty common, around 22 years, maybe 25. It's on its last leg. So it's not as long as advertised by the manufacturers in our environment. Janelle?
There's a new company in town that's doing some kind of soy chemical that helps them make this.
Would you say that again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have heard of a company that's doing some kind of soy chemical spray to help preserve the
Yep.
roof longer. Can you give an opinion on that?
There is a company right here in town called Roof Max. Many of you know Ken. The basic process is, first of all, the roof has to be in decent condition. That's number one. And if the roof is in pretty good condition, but it's older, if there's a few small repairs, they have those repairs made. Then they clean the roof, and then they put what I'll call a laminate soy-based finish on the roof, which basically, think of it like a baseball glove and oiling a baseball glove. So it's, you know, you can use it again and it looks better. Same thing happens on the roof. We're just adds some flexibility to it. and it extends the life for about 5 years. I don't know the track record on that process, but it's very interesting for sure. Joe?
The vents, you know, they have the old circular vents versus now the roof vents.
Okay.
What's the efficiency difference? Is the.
Well, the what I call whirly birds, the turbines that the wind moves, that needs wind to work the best. So that's a disadvantage, but they work pretty good if you have a lot of wind. But the passive ventilation on the roof, the ridge vents, heat always rises to the highest point, right? Well, you're letting it out where it's collected at the top of the attic. So the roof can breathe, and that will prolong the life of the roof because the asphalt doesn't dry out as quickly as it would if it's not properly ventilated. We highly recommend roof vents over any other type, even power vents. Power vents have a motor, they'll burn out 8 to 10 years, but they will get their air even if they rob it from the air-conditioned interior of the home. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Through the switch plates and,
Yeah, that's.
you know,
what we did
holes.
that. Stuck in the air conditioner.
Yeah,
throughout the house.
exactly. So there are some applications where that needs to be done, but generally, if you can do ridge vents, it's best. Troy?
Just a real quick question. You know, when you look at your chimney, the base around your chimney, on top of the roof, along with the boots that go around your ventilation, how often should those be looked at? And on an average, do you have a price that, I realize you kind of shoot it in here, but
Yeah.
how often should you get out there and say, should those, those boots be replaced or resealed?
Okay. The boots around your chimney pipes need to probably be recaulked about every 10 years. They should last a long time, but if a squirrel gets to them or they have the sun UV rays drying them out, then, but you know, that's a very simple, very, very simple fix. So we would try to keep it under $1 million on that.
Joel, I'm gonna have to go see you.
That's called price conditioning. Woo, 20,000 doesn't look so bad now. Lynn, go ahead.
Just a comment on insurance, you know, people need to know you don't have to call your insurance company first. In fact, you're much better off
Yeah.
calling Ed
Yeah.
first and not opening up a claim. Ed can tell you point blank, this isn't gonna be covered, because you know. there's no-
I've been put in the position where somebody will call me and I'll say, well, we'll look at the roof. And they say, great, because I've already filed the claim.
That's-
And, you know, and it's not even damaged. And, you know, they should have just asked first.
And the other thing is, insurance companies typically issue 2 checks. The first check is the depreciated value, and they're saying if you do nothing, you deserve. However, once you get the roof done, then you get a supplemental check to make you more financially full. But if a roofer ever says, sign that check over to me, that's a big no-no. And the other thing is, if they ask for a down payment, when you think of it, if a roofer has to get money from you to start the job, how financially solid are they?
Yeah, that, I'll tell you all this, the very first company, and it wasn't Master Roofing, but the very first company, I responded to a monster ad. I can still remember it. 19,000 a month. And I thought that's pretty good, even if half of that's true, right? You know, so went to an interview. They took my pulse and hired me. It was one of those things. And anyway, they declared bankruptcy. And we collected checks up front, and I was left holding 26 jobs that I picked up the insurance check for. But you know what saved me? Is I had somebody sign for every one of those checks. And I showed the police, I said, this person paid me, I gave it to the company. And that was a good thing. But you know what? I'm cured of collecting money in advance.
Yeah.
And our company doesn't do it generally. Now, if somebody needs like $40,000 worth of siding or windows, where the windows have to be made special order, that's different. But on a roof, our company doesn't collect a penny until the roof is installed. How much of your money, Troy, did we have before your roof was finished?
Zero.
Zero, yeah. Then I had to chase him down to get the rest of it.
You know, the other thing is, too, if somebody puts on a brand new roof, don't forget to call your insurance agent,
Mhm,
because there's some real nice discounts in
Yeah.
most companies. when you
absolutely,
Put on a brand new roof.
absolutely.
And so that's nice, we need to sue for what, 5 years or so.
Often when roofing contractors are collecting money up front, it's not uncommon that they're behind on jobs, so they need your money to get the material for Mrs. Jones's roof. And eventually, if there's any hiccup, the train derails and then it's on the news. It's a bad way to do business. You know, if they don't have enough credibility and stability, then you don't want to do a roof with them, is what it amounts to.
So
Mr.
Dan,
Lanham?
what is your opinion, or what is the industry standard when someone needs a new roof and you put a second layer of
Mhm.
shingle on top of that?
Well, code in Shelby County now limits it to 2 layers only. But the problem, you're not saving a whole lot of money, but the problem is, it's like that roof wearing a heavy coat in the winter and it can't breathe, and it doubles whatever the engineering weight was for the rafters.
Right.
Well, now it's double, and that can be a problem. How much time, Joe?
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
And
All right.
Two.
Jim,
Jim?
I get advertised in the neighborhood occasionally, pressure washing roofs, and I've seen people doing that.
Mhm,
My question is, would you recommend doing that? I know they do it for staining and all, but is
mhm.
that hard on the roof to have a pressure wash?
Well, the people doing that should be using a very light rinse. I mean, not even like putting your thumb on the end of the hose, no pressure at all. So a rinse would be fine, and I've seen some that were done and they clean up pretty well. You know, they don't look brand new, but they look much newer.
I was thinking of the power of the spray, will it affect?
Well,
Shingle.
if you use pressure of any amount, it'll dislodge the granules from the shingle. And that'll void the warranty on the shingle. So, yeah, it just has to be just a rinse. Yeah. Janelle?
I wanted to do a shout out. When I got ready to sell my house in Raleigh, you may remember, we had a storm that week and lost power. I was without power for 4 days. And somebody, the day I called them, somebody came out and fixed the damage on my roof so that the people who were coming to look at it that afternoon would know that the roof had been fixed. And in the day of when there were so many options and so many storms, and my damage was very small, Ed took time out for a very small job, make it happen. Thank you so much.
All right, these were great questions. I mean, truly great. I got a contract yesterday on a roof. I'm gonna tell you this. The person had a bunch of random roofers come out from a home advisor. And I thought like, holy cow, this is crazy. And you don't automatically get fantastic people just because it's Angie's List or Home Advisor. In fact, there's a scandal that's been uncovered on one of those, on Home Advisor. So anyway, I'm done.
All right.
Real quick, you want to tell us about